Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
That was admitted killer Bryan Kohberger earlier this month, confessing to the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students in November 2022. Under that plea deal, Kohberger gave up his right to appeal and will spend the rest of his life behind bars. And earlier today, a judge actually lifted a gag order on that high-profile case ahead of next week's sentencing. The heinous crime is now a subject of a new book. It's called The Idaho Four, An American Tragedy, which dives deeper into the murders, the killer, and why he may have done it. Joining me now is investigative journalist and New York Times bestselling author and co-author of The Idaho Four, An American Tragedy. That's Vicky Ward. Vicky, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
All right, one of the coolest things about this project is that you actually partnered with legendary novelist James Patterson on this book. What was it like to work with him, and were you able to uncover any sort of secrets here?
Well, it was a privilege to work with James Patterson. And, you know, I think he pushed me because, you know, he's the thriller writer and he's used to true crime and murders more than me. He pushed us to write a really personal and emotional book. And right at the outset, he said to me, you know, Vicky, we're not going to report this as sort of like the New York Times at 40,000 feet and perhaps in the way that I've written previous books. We're going to bring readers in so that they feel like they're in Moscow at the time of the murders. They feel like they know the 4 victims, Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. They're going to feel like they know what it was like to be the police chief at the time, James Fry. They know what it was like to be the local journalist covering this story. And you're going to feel the pressure on the police, on the town, and you're going to feel the suffering of the victims' friends and the families as they go through first the horror of losing these 4 extraordinary young people, and then the fear of wondering who could have done this and why. And, you know, I think the book, your next question, Alex, was about what did we learn that was new? Right. I mean, I think the book definitely does take you both into Bryan Kohberger's formative years. It shows him growing into this manipulative person, someone who stole from his best friend's, his only friend's mother, someone who was obsessed with criminals and criminology, somebody who studied in class as an undergraduate the spree killing of a guy called Elliot Rodger, who was kind of an incel hero, involuntary celibate hero. And you see Bryan Kohberger, by the time he gets to Washington State University as a criminology PhD student, he's really a full-blown misogynist. And it's his heinous views of women that kind of blow him up professionally.
So Vicky, with the gag order that's in place up until today when we saw the judge lifted it, how were you able to get all these details and provide this new insight that really brings the readers in like you're talking about?
Well, you know, the police chief was very straight up. He gave me a window onto his personality and to what it had been like emotionally for him. I will stress he didn't break any details about the investigation. You know, none of this, Alex, was privileged information. It was all out there for the getting. I don't know how much of Kohberger's formative years and what he was like as a student at Washington State University would have made it into trial. That was a question that the victims' families definitely had. For me, they believe that the target was Maddie Mogen. Everything points to that, the digital footprint of Bryan Kohberger and the fact that he went to her bedroom immediately, and it was just happenstance.
Vicky,
it
sounds like you're talking about a possible motive there being a target, Maddie Mogen. Is that your understanding? I mean, you spoke a little bit about...
That is the understanding of the victims' friends and the families. I did place a quick call in just now to James Fry, the police chief, because obviously, as reported, the gag order is being lifted. So just tell me quickly, was anything wrong in the book? And he said no.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.